Hi, I'm Matt Stowell. I'm the creator and screenwriter for this project, Eleftheria, Woman of Cyprus. A little bit about myself. I'm an American writer. I began writing when I was about 10 years old. I've published poetry, fiction, a lot of journalism, mostly about the arts. In 1980, I was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize in America. And I've written about 7 screenplays. Now you might say, what is an American writer writing a film about Cyprus for? In 1998, I had the chance to go to Cyprus for 2 months. So before I went, I did a little research. I found out Cyprus is the birthplace of Aphrodite. It's known as the island of love because she was the goddess of love. It's been a Greek island for 1,000 years. In language, culture, and I was intrigued. I had 2 months, and I became more and more interested in Cyprus. I started doing research, but I also went all over the island. I had a car to use, and I went to almost every village in Cyprus. But at a certain point, I was not allowed to go across a green line, which divides Cyprus. This intrigued me more. I started to do some research. I found out how Cyprus was divided in 1974 by an invasion from Turkey. And the more research I did, the more I became interested in writing a film.
Matthew trusted me with the script of this story, which I have read with very much interest as a Cypriot myself. The fact that the writer, Matthew, is not a Greek or a Cypriot himself made it more interesting for me. To realize how something that is written locally speaks globally.
So the idea was to make a feature film about Cyprus, but to make it not just about Cyprus, a story that could happen anywhere in the world, a universal theme. And the intention originally was to draw attention to Cyprus with the hopes that it would bring some powers to be to help solve the problem. But as I did more research, and as I heard more stories, and as I began to write, I became more interested in the story of Eleftheria.
Eleftheria, for example, kept believing that her son was alive. She never doubted this fact ever in her life, and that's this certainty is what kept her looking and going on for the rest of her life.
Eleftheria's journey is full of difficulties, and she's so persistent to find her son. And through her, I see thousands of women to go through that journey all over the world.
Summer 1974. Turkish forces invade with U.S.-supplied arms and occupy 1/3 of Cyprus.
4 minutes past 6, and the first of the Turkish troops have landed in Cyprus. About 5 of these aircraft passed over in the last 5 minutes. They were guided in by jet fighters, and the very first paratroopers are now hitting Cyprus soil. İleri!
In 1974, Turkey invades Cyprus. Her son Spiros, who's now 17 and a fisherman, is collected with all the other able-bodied men in the area by Turkey and sent to prisons in Turkey. They stay in the prisons only for 3 months and are sent back to Cyprus through pressure from international sources. But Spiros is not one of the men who returns.
Το γιο μου περίπου. Δεν ξέρω που είναι. Είναι αγνοούμενος ο γιος. Αγνοούμενος.
Another thing that the story tells and makes evident is also the issue of returning to a homeland, returning to a place, or the return of like a missing person, the return of a missing person.
She is waiting in Nicosia when the buses arrive with the prisoners from Turkey. She waits for 2 days. He does not arrive. He is now one of the missing. Thus begins her journey to find her son. Then an event happens in 2003. The Green Line, the border between the occupied part of Cyprus and the free part, is open for Greek Cypriots to cross, only for 24 hours at a time, but she sees this as a great opportunity to go to the village, find people who may know the whereabouts of her son, because she had escaped the village and she didn't know where her son was when she escaped.
She returns to her homeland, to her village, but it's a different type of village, that the place has changed and has become a non-place, a utopia, a non-place, but still a place where she could return.
When she decides to cross the line and go to the other side, and she doesn't know what she's going to find. What difficulties, what danger, what is the first time she goes through after nearly 35 years. So only that says a lot. So what she's going to find after so many years is really daring.
In the end, she doesn't find what she thought she would find. But she learns to her satisfaction that her journey is not over. Now, this is a story we believe needs to be told. We believe this film needs to be made. And we're asking you now to help us make it happen.